busyness, what we think is a practice killer if we think we're too busy to get back to the basics of what got us to be successful in the first place. Hey everybody, and welcome to the CCC webinar today. And I want to read you a few scriptures here before I begin. In Proverbs 21:5, it says, "The plans of the diligent lead to profit as surely as haste leads to poverty." So number one is how diligent are we? How diligent are we in our business? Proverbs 27:23, be diligent to know the state of your flocks and attend to your herds. So how diligent are we as owners, business owners, knowing what's the state of the people who are working for us or our team, whether you have one team member or 50 team members? Proverbs 12:24, diligent hands will rule, but laziness ends in forced labor. Repeat, Proverbs 21:5, the plans of the diligent lead to profit as surely as haste leads to poverty. Proverbs 27:23, be diligent to know the state of your flocks and attend to your herds. Proverbs 12:24, diligent hands will rule, but laziness ends in forced labor. So we ask ourselves, we were doing great, we were booming, growing, increasing, and expanding. And then all of a sudden, bam, everything shuts down. So we examine ourselves and we ask ourselves a question. Whenever something goes on like that in your office, where new patients are coming in, reacts are coming back, open doors, collections are booming, doubling and tripling, and then all of a sudden, bam, everything stops. So you have to get into the quiet time and ask yourself some questions. What was I doing to get new patients, reacts, open doors, increased collections, opportunities to get where I was before this was happening? So you need to do a self-analysis. What was I doing that then that was different now? One thing a lot of times is we fail to prepare. You don't prepare. We start to become like fat cats, and we all have experienced that probably. I know I have personally. And then we stop having the discipline to do the correct preparation that we were doing the night before, morning of. Stopped having the correct team meetings, team huddles. All of a sudden, little by little, there's a hole in the bucket, meaning that we don't have the proper team huddles like we were having before because we think that we're too busy because there's too many new ones that are coming in. So now we don't have time to do the proper team huddle. Or Monday comes around and Thursday comes around, and depending on how much volume you're seeing, if you're seeing 300 or less, you can get away with one big team meeting a week. But if you're seeing 400 and above, you need to have at least 2 team meetings a week. Did we stop doing that because we think that we were stressing or too much of a burden on our team, so therefore we were only having 1 team meeting instead of 2 team meetings? Or did we become slack in our training? Day 1 training, day 2 training, day 3 training. Or did we stop answering the phone correctly because team got so busy that when we answered the phone, we stopped answering, "This is the Schiffman Clinic. Is this appointment for you? And how many members of your family?" Or did we forget to say the proper scripting when people call because we think we're too busy? So busyness, what we think, is a practice killer if we think we're too busy to get back to the basics of what got us to be successful in the first place. Instead of doing 2 group doctors reports a week because of the increase in volume, did we just do 1? We were doing 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, lunch, 1 breakfast time, 1 in the evening time, so that all bases were covered, that there was no excuses for every new practice member to be at a group report of findings. But all of a sudden, we think that we thought we became too busy, so now we -1, not in the morning, because only 4 people showed up instead of 8 one week. So now we're not going to do it. Bad, 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 bad. Don't want to do that. So self-analyze yourself. What changes have I done that caused decrease? Meaning, what am I doing differently now than what I was doing before? Another thing is actually maybe a little bit hard for you to believe, but if you're at a certain state in volume in practice with a certain amount of team members, and then you hire another team member because you thought that your team was getting overburdened, but that team member that you brought in is really an Aiken in the camp who's murmuring, gossiping, and being negative. And this is obviously hypothetical, but it has happened more than one time. And then everything goes down. You have to be like Proverbs. I read you that scripture. What's going on with your flock? How diligent are you watching your flock? Are you too busy to get to the office before your team gets to the office? That's when you're really in the game. If your team gets there supposed to get there at 9, and you get there at 9:01, negative. You should get there at 10 to 9, there before, because you're the leader, you're the shepherd of the office. And they look up to you, and you're the guider and the director and the owner and the boss and the organizer. And then from there you delegate. If it is to be, it's up to you and you and you and you and you and you and you. Right? So summertime, for those of us that live in colder climates, we have winter, we don't live in California, Hawaii, or wherever, Florida. So now people sometimes go crazy, take off more time than what they should. They think more about their fishing or their tennis or their vacation than focusing still on their office. And what you'll find is, at least I found in my life, whatever you focus on is usually what is going to be happening in your life. It's kind of like a seed in a sower. Your seed is focusing on something other than your business or your office. And then what happens is there's no harvest there. Actually, drought happens, starts to dry up. So now that for those of us, not everyone listening obviously is living in winter climates, but if you are, got to stay focused. Focus on the business, the practice, because we want to not go like this and then like this. Actually, we don't really want to go like this. That's called a yo-yo practice. And that happens when we're not disciplined in our correct preparation. Another thing I wanted to talk to you about is when we are doing talks, when we're doing the correct team meetings, we're doing screenings, everything that we're supposed to do, and we get real busy, everything's booming, increasing, and all of a sudden we start to rely on social media, that Facebook. This is how we're going to get everybody now, because we're too busy to do it the way we were doing it before, hands-on, doing our workshops. Cannot rely on that. You have to rely on what got you to where you are at the level of abundance that you arrived, where you kept on going like a bird rising in flight, increasing and expanding, that everything you touch shall prosper. But being diligent, that word diligent, I'm telling you, is so vital in your business, in your practice, in your office, with your team, in everything, really in life. Remember, with God, all things are possible. August 3rd, we're going to be C3, Sherman College, Mastermind, one-day intensive. It's going to be super powerful. Breakthrough will happen, increase and expansion. Make your reservation now. Speak to you soon. God bless y'all. You guys rock. Dr. Ben and I appreciate you all so much. Have a blessed day.